चलो अब हम सारी next guest सारे next आए हुए हैं and talking about love. This is the perfect song and she's sitting right in front of me in the studio. Well, she's Date Mussy. That's what everyone calls her. And she thinks that dating's very, very difficult at the moment. So thank you for joining us, Date Mussy.
Thanks for having me, Monty.
Now, ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ or English ਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ?
I think probably English will be easier.
English, yeah. yes. It's that common thing in this country, right? If you're born in this country, you're between the age of 20 to 30, you are very English, you don't know your home basha, your mother tongue.
I think we all know it. We
don't speak it fluently.
We don't speak it fluently.
Why? Why is that the case?
I think even our parents speak to us in English as well. That's the thing.
See,
we're not getting much practice anymore.
It's the parents' fault, again.
I don't want to blame it on the parents because I know they're listening. But I think, we've all grown up understanding our mother tongue. And I think it depends how much exposure you have to the grandparents' generation.
Yeah.
Then you will carry on speaking your mother tongue. But otherwise, parents, they obviously want to converse with us. So the English seems to be the common ground.
ਚਲੋ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜਵਾਬ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ ਫਿਰ you won't understand Punjabi, right?
I can understand, but it's just trying to converse back.
I understand. So tell us about this, date Mussy, the concept, dating before in the 80s and the 90s, it was a simple phone call from, the parents, okay, my son is marrying your daughter and the wedding is happening at this place and that's it. They haven't seen each other, but they will get along.
Those days have gone, thankfully, I would say. Now it is down to our generation finding our own love, which I think is much better. The parents still do have a say in what's happening, and I think there's still the pressure coming from the parents. So I run a company called Date Mussy. I'm known as Date Mussy.
And because you look like a Mussy as well.
No, I was going to that's quite contradictory.
Well, your husband is sitting right there, and I hope he's laughing in the corner.
Yeah, I was going to say. So obviously the name is Mussy. So when people meet me, they are probably expecting an older person, but I am a woman in my 30s. Obviously, you can't see my grey hairs online, which I love. But I'm not a typical Mussy that you would meet at a wedding that's going to ask you when you're getting married. Like I said, I'm a woman in my 30s and I understand our generation. I understand the struggles that come with dating these days. And I wanted to create something that was fun and allow people to meet in person. And I think the concept of my events is all about letting people... So that's what I'm strong on. So all the events that I run are activity-based. So things like, pizza making, pub quizzes, bowling. So people have got something to focus on rather than interview questions, which is where our parents' generation came from. They only had 15 minutes to decide. Here I'm giving people 4 hours to meet a group of people and for them to make a decision from that. So in dating in that aspect has changed a long way from where our parents came from. But I think there is still that pressure from our parents' generation to marry within. So the events that I run are for Hindu and Sikh professionals because I've got access to that market and I understand it. And also,
so when you say professionals, like what happens? You have to bring along your degree certificate.
No, something like that. No, I mean I do ask for people's job titles when they're booking, and when I say professionals, it's because obviously nowadays people want to meet either somebody of the same field or somebody of the same caliber. And I know it's a stigmatized. We shouldn't really be looking at whether you earn more and things like that. But unfortunately, that's the way things have become now. So you want to meet somebody who's on par with you. So if you're a doctor, you're going to want to attract somebody of that same level. But I mean, at the events, I don't disclose what people's professions are. So we get everything from investment bankers, lawyers, dentists, to somebody who could be even a graduate. And I allow them to kind of express who they are and what they do and allow them to have that conversation. There's nothing saying, I'm a doctor and they turn up, basically.
So what is there? Obviously, Date Mussy is there. I watched on Netflix, matchmaking, and that's in India. She's supposed to be, like the most famous matchmaker. Is there like a massive gap now? Is it very difficult to find two people who are compatible with each other?
It's not so much difficult. So with the matchmaking and obviously with this Netflix series, it has sparked a lot of dialogue, right? And I'm grateful for it because it did actually show how difficult dating has become. And I know that when the show hit the screens, a lot of people reaching out to me going, Nika, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Oh my God, you came to mind. And whilst I'm not a matchmaker, I do understand all the struggles that went on. So, there was a few characters that obviously came to light on the show that some people liked and some people disliked, but that is actually what's happening in the world. So I think for females, if you are of a certain age and you're independent, you're scrutinized as being, seen as fussy or that you want certain things. And same with the guy. I think there was one guy who had kind of had about 150 matches come to him. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happens now. What's happened with dating is because there's so many options out there now, you are not willing to settle. And I think our parents' generation had that mindset of you should take what you get and settle with what you've got. And that's the clash that's happening at the moment.
So you're saying there's so much option out there, dating apps, going out and about. There's like your company called Date Must See. There people think, actually, you know what? I just fancy dating this particular woman, or a woman thinking, actually, I haven't dated this type of person. Let me try that. Is it like people just love dating now?
I don't think people like dating. It's quite draining, and I see it. Like I said, I see it firsthand. What people are going through. But I think that when I say there's loads of options, that I think is kind of the hurdle. So there is so many options. You've got dating apps, you've got dating events like myself. You've got people, older generation, still recommending as well. And what happens is you end up dating six people. All at one time. And so how are you able to give 100% to all those six people? So no one's actually getting to meet the real you. And that's what's happening. You could be talking to one person, they could be taking it slowly and trying to get to know you. Another conversation comes over through a dating app or some other means. They start getting a bit flirtatious with you. Your mind goes towards that conversation. A recommendation comes from an auntie. So you've got three different people that you're juggling at the same time. No one's actually meeting you. And so therefore, you're going to align whichever conversation is exciting you at that point. And then sometimes first dates don't even happen these days because you've kind of judged everyone. And there is a lot of judgment these days as well, even from profiles, dating profiles. People judge people on photographs, location, spelling mistakes, which sounds really crazy, but you can really be put down if somebody's grammar's not correct, location where people live. So there's so many hurdles to jump before you've even got to a first date. And
I think that's why Date Must is a very unique concept, because you get a group of people, you hold events. There could be like pottery class, or it could be like...
Are you interested in pottery classes? I'm not sure men would be.
Well, I'm suggesting you to do that, and I'll be the first one there.
Oh, you want to reenact Ghost, is it?
No, I just want to show off to everyone that I'm great at pottery.
Are you? Wow, that's good. Okay, it's good to know that men are into pottery.
Well, there you go. That's something. That's more about Date Must See. That's about me,
okay.
Right? So you've got this, this classes that you set up, which is really unique. That's what I find. You've got your unique point. That tell us the activities that you've set up.
So in terms of the business side of things, it started. I've been running for 6 years now, 6 successful years, I'd like to say. And the events that I run are basically all activity based. So, like I mentioned before, the most popular one seems to be like pizza making, pub quizzes, ping pong tournaments. So already the whole focus is on an activity, and that's going to attract people to come to the event if you're interested in that activity. So classic example, taking pizza making, we've got a group of people I'll get together, and it's all within a 10-year age gap as well. So you're going to be meeting people who are already suitable to your age group. I then split everyone into teams according to their age group, and then the teams change throughout the event. So eventually you get to meet everybody, but you're meeting them in like half an hour, 45-minute stints, and you get to learn so much. So even from pizza making, it sounds really crazy, but by somebody picking their pizza toppings, you're going to know whether somebody's vegetarian or not, which is a massive thing. It's not a question that you really want to ask somebody, but it could be, it shouldn't be a deal breaker, but it can be for some people. And yeah, the activity, literally, you get involved, you start dough tossing, you get creative with your pizzas, you see what people's personalities are like, and you come away from the event meeting so many people, your confidence is elevated as well, which is what my key thing is as well. Making dating a lot more fun and more confident. And you just naturally are going to be meeting suitable people, and it just feels a lot nicer to meet that way. And even if you don't, you just walk away feeling good about yourself and meeting a whole group of people that could recommend you. So that's a softer approach to dating rather than the judgment that comes from, online these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think there's many options. It's another fun activity with a group of people together, and if you like someone, fine. If you don't, then someone could recommend you to elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, well, after this song, which Sukhshinder Shinder's first song I really liked, which got me involved with Sukhshinder Shinder, the singer, I'll put on it's Ikkuri, and then it would be the ad break. I think it's the perfect song for what we're talking right now. And then we're going to talk about the 21st century young British Asians commitment phobic.
Oh.
Punjab Radio, the first Punjabi radio station in the world.
I came over from the Caribbean on my mother's passport in 1962. So when my right to live here was questioned, it broke me. I was afraid, and to be honest, I was sceptical about calling the Windrush Help Team. But my husband persuaded me, and I'm so glad I found the courage. The team have been really great. Now I've got the right documents and compensation too. It doesn't change what happened, but it helped. To find out if they could help you too, visit gov.uk/Windrush Help Team. Some people have an instinct to protect those in need.
Are you okay? And stop those doing harm.
To be there when it matters.
And to be the change their community needs.
If you have the instinct to make a difference, join us. Become a police officer.
And get all the training and support you need.
Make your difference.
Search Join the Police and be one of the 20,000 new officers.
जितने अमृतसर आई हूँ बस इको ही रट ला रखी है कुलचा खाना है कुलचा खाना है कुलचा खाना है ते कुलचा एक्सप्रेस से जाओ ना मेरा क्यों सिर खाई जाने हो
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਕੁਲਚਾ ਐਕਸਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਤੇ ਬਣੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰੀ ਕੁਲਚੇ
curries sweet and snacks
ਤੇ ਵਨ ਸਵੰਨੀਆਂ ਡਿਸ਼ਸ ਖਾ ਕੇ ਮਾਰੋ ਚਟਕਾਰੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਰੱਖੋਗੇ ਯਾਦ ਉਂਗਲੀਆਂ ਚੜਦੇ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਰਤੀਆਂ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੀ ਆਓਗੇ ਲੰਡਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਲਚਾ ਐਕਸਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਈ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚੇਸ ਵਧੇਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਈ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ www.kulchaexpress.co.uk
outside catering available
ਮੰਮੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਰਮਨ ਜੁਐਲਰਸ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਜੁਐਲਰੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਲੈਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ
ਬੇਟਾ ਸਿਵਰਾਤ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਭਰੋਸੇ ਤੇ ਈਸਟ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਤੇ ਭਰੋਸੇਮੰਦ ਜੁਐਲਰਸ ਨੇ ਰਮਨ ਜੁਐਲਰਸ
ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣਗੇ 22 ਕੈਰਟ 골ਡ ਅਤੇ ਡਾਇਮੰਡ ਦੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਤੋਂ ਨਵੇਂ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਗਹਿਣੇ ਪਿਓਰ 골ਡ ਦੇ ਬਾਰਸ ਹਰ ਰਾਸ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਸਟੋਨਸ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਸੋਨੇ ਦੇ ਬਦਲੇ ਕੈਸ਼ ਦੀ ਸਹੂਲਤ ਵੀ ਰਮਨ ਜੁਐਲਰਸ 140 ਇਲਫਰਡ ਲੇਨ ਇਲਫਰਡ ਕਾਲ 020-8514-0410
London's biggest Punjabi radio.
This is Punjab Radio on 558 AM.
You listen to Panjab Radio on 558 AM, and we always talk about, well, we've got Date Mussy at the moment, but before I do that, I would like people to know more about Hanslow Advanced Computer Learning. Do you want to learn computing? Join Hanslow Advanced Computer Learning, free online training, over 50 courses available. To register, call today, Jennifer, on 0784 761 6693, or you can call the office, which is 0753 192 0495. And also I've got to give a special mention to RGM Stairs, which do all types of wood stairs, service, provide for floating, softwood, hardwood, oakwood, glass stairs, cover all over the UK, and they can beat any price. Oh, Manny, this is the person to definitely give a call, If someone's got a quote, give Manny a call, because he can beat that price, apparently, which is 0747 0191993, or the other mobile is 0745 411 7499. And, that, creaking staircases are such annoying things. Give Manny a call, and they can definitely sort out your stairs. So let's get back to Date Mussy. And Date Mussy, I reckon I was expecting Date Mussy to look like Mussy, but she's definitely not looking like Mussy to me. But tell me more about, this day and age. Do you think we young British Asians are just commitment phobic?
It's a hard one. I'd say dating has changed so much in the last decade. We used to have community functions, and that's where we used to meet. And that was, the regular meetup. In a year, you'd probably see people, 5 times a year. And so you had an opportunity to meet within your community. There was, the kind of matching going on behind the scenes. Everyone was kind of looking out for each other. That's decreased rapidly. So we don't really have any opportunities to meet anybody of the same faith. And so that pressure is still on us from our parents to meet within, but we don't have those opportunities. And gone are the days of meeting in a bar anymore as well. You can't approach a man or a woman in a bar anymore. people's guard is up, and it takes a lot of strength to even approach somebody these days as well. So I think dating in that aspect has changed, and in the process, yes, I think commitment has changed. With online as well, I'm not knocking it at all, but just taking the example of Amazon, we have that mindset. If you want something, you get it the next day or 2 days later. Online has kind of given us that example to follow.
Would you say that because we get this instant, like you don't even have to go shopping anymore, you just go Sainsbury's, Tesco's, online, you think online is like we want quickly people to be compatible, quickly we want to get along with each other, and let's make the decision quickly, but with humans,
it doesn't work like that. Yeah, so our mindset has been trained that, you want things instantly. You can get something within 48 hours. Even if you wanted to buy a TV, you can get it the next day. We are spoiled with this online notion. So the same applies with online platforms for dating. We're in that mindset that if I go onto this app, I fill in my profile, I should start getting 16 or 17 matches. And it doesn't work like that. And you could get those matches, but they're not quality matches that are coming through. It's all algorithms that are happening in the background. So I think...
But why is it so difficult to meet someone you like? Like, if you like someone, why can't you just go up to them and say, talk to them, and if they like you back, it's why is it so difficult now?
Social skills are lacking these days as well. So I think because I'm going to try and say this properly, we're in a look-down generation, not lockdown. We are in a look-down generation. So we rely heavily on our phones and...
We're in the neck-top generation. Neck-top was 80s. We're in the laptop generation.
Laptop, look down. We are basically, you just take any function or family function, not forget a community function, a family function. You've got all the youngsters there. They're just looking down. Nobody is interacting. So you just think, if you're not willing to interact with your own, how is anyone going to recommend you? It's a similar situation here as well. When you're in a lockdown generation, we are so reliant on our phones to give us the answers that we don't know how to interact. And I see it even at my events as well. The shyest person struggles to talk to somebody because they're relying on their phones. And I tell people, put your phones away. Once you've arrived at the event, you don't need your phone any longer for directions. And if you are exchanging numbers, great. But the minute you pull your phone out at an event, all you're doing is basically saying to somebody, you're rejecting people because they're not going to approach you. So we have this comfort level of our phone is our answer, but it's not. And so we don't know how to converse with people anymore. We don't know how to show our personality. And I think that's what's happening. And even with our parents, if we don't want to talk to them, we just look at our phones and we look like we're busy.
But do you think people have become a bit needy and picky now? They're like, we're looking for the perfect person. And you know what? I'm looking for a unicorn in my life, but a unicorn doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think we still have this tick list in our mind. So we get, you want your 5 out of 5. And even on the apps as well, you have your criteria and you become tunnel vision by that. And that, to be honest, my husband's here. If we met on paper, we wouldn't have matched at all because we are polar opposites, but we actually complement each other. I should say that because he's here. But what I'm saying is that had we met online, we wouldn't have matched at all.
So what's your views on, I was watching the Netflix Matchmaker and one of the women was struggling with this American chick, right? And I can see why she was struggling. She was hard work, just like watching on the program. Yeah. So she went to this a guy who can read faces, and he goes, "What do you think of her?" Like, do you ever use these kind of techniques? Which, if you're struggling to match someone, you're like, well, maybe I'll go and, people do these sort of kundalis or whatever they call it, right? Astrology and all of that kind of stuff. Do you think these kind of things work?
I mean, obviously, it showed it in the show that was one of the processes. But again, it's Seema's techniques. That's what she uses. But I think our generation don't want that because I think even now, when you've got a couple who want to get married and the parents intervene and say, actually, let's just check everything's aligned. What do you do if you've fallen in love with somebody and there is something that's not matching? Do you pursue it or not?
So is love blind? Sometimes say love is blind and you should, this is the biggest decision of your life. And the other question is, people who've been marriages for 20, 25 years in South Asian, in the South Asian community, are actually got the courage to say, well, I want to have a divorce.
Yeah.
Now, that never used to happen.
No. So
why is this happening?
divorce is on the rise and it's becoming more of an option. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because I think that, if you are in a marriage, in a relationship, and you're not happy, you should pursue an option to come out of that, because obviously it's not good for either person, and obviously if there's children involved as well. And even at my events as well, I have people that come to my events who are single. Obviously they're single, they're divorced, single parents as well. So I think divorce is becoming more open in our culture now. And
why? Where have people got the courage to think, well, I can't commit to this marriage? Why don't, what happened in the 80s or in the 60s, 70s? People just like, I don't care, however stormy the weather is or how great the sunshine is, we are gonna just get through this for the next 30 years.
I think it was fear of parents in that generation, whereas our generation, we, just take our marriages for the weddings. The bride and groom plan the weddings now to the T of all the details they want. Parents only simply get involved financially. They might suggest a photographer that they had at their wedding, but the bride and groom are not going to go with that anymore. So I think that's what's happening. And also our generation is a lot stronger. So I think going back to with parents that, and this sort of brings us into interracial relationships now.
But what's your view on women empowerment? Back in the 80s, women, you tell them what to do, that was it. Now, women are much more educated. They have their own mind. They're allowed to have their voice, their own opinions, their thoughts, which I think they should do. Mm-hmm. And they are sort of saying, no, it's like, if you wash the dishes on Monday, if I'm washing them on Monday, you're doing it on Tuesday. It's like that equality.
It's teamwork now.
Yes.
Because obviously both parties are going out and have both professional jobs. So coming back to the profession as well, it's no longer the female's role to be like, right, we're going to cook, we're going to do this. And also we're in a generation where we can outsource things. So, our parents' generation didn't have that. They were living in a household of maybe 6 other people. So they shared the load. Now it's down to the 2 people. So we are more strong-minded. We are more career-focused. As a generation, as we've grown up as well, our parents have kind of embedded that in us. Make something of your life. Go out. Be that professional you want to. And that takes years. And that's where dating has kind of fallen off the wagon. You spent 5 years getting to that accreditation that you need to. Something's got to give. It's your dating career. And so you think you've got time. And then before you know it, you've hit the 30 milestone, then the 35 milestone. You become independent. And the older you get as well, I find you're less willing to compromise. And going back to what you're saying about the females, we are a lot more independent these days. And, if you've got an independent woman, it takes somebody absolutely incredible to come in and sweep her off her feet. And she's got to allow for that person to come in and fit into her dynamics. And I think that's where the battle is as well. So guys do have it harder sometimes entering into a woman's life. But similarly as well, sometimes men get put off by career women as well and think, well, how is this, is she going to be stronger than me? Does she earn more than me? And again, those conversations are not something our parents had,
Oh, great. Well, after this ad break, we're going to talk about are the young British Asians, men in particular, they're just not willing to compromise.
For advertising and sponsorship opportunities on Panjab Radio,
call 020 8848 8877 now.
कोविड-19 ਦੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 에ਅਰ ਟਰੈਵਲ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਫੀ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ। ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੀ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇੰਤਜ਼ਾਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਆਓ ਤੇਜ਼ੀ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗੇ ਚੱਲੀਏ ਅਤੇ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਸੁਰੱਖਿਅਤ ਯਾਤਰਾ ਕਰੀਏ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਛੁੱਟੀ ਦੀ ਬੁਕਿੰਗ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ। ਵਾਪਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਅਤੇ ਦੋਸਤਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਘਰ ਆਰਾਮ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੀ ਕਲਪਨਾ ਕਰੋ। ਪੰਜਾਬ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਭਾਰਤ ਤੇ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਲਈ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਡੀਲਸ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਿਸ਼ਾ ਨਿਰਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਤਹਿਤ ਬੁਕਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਫਾਰਮ ਭਰਨ ਤੱਕ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਨ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਲਾਹ ਵੀ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਦੁਨੀਆ ਭਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਟਰੈਵਲ ਡੇਟਸ ਲਈ ਵਧੀਆ ਡੀਲਸ ਲੈਣ ਲਈ ਹੁਣੇ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਾਹਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ। ਆਪਣੀ ਪਸੰਦ ਦੇ 에ਅਰਲਾਈਨ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਟਲ ਬੁੱਕ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰੋ
on 020 8848 8877 or 0750 686 5258.
This is the sound of a revolution taking place in Jim's house. In a dusty cupboard under the stairs, Jim's smart meter is silently working away, helping him make small changes to how he uses energy and helping Britain become carbon neutral by 2050. So even when he's only doing the housework, he can always do his bit for the environment too. Join the quiet revolution. Ask your energy supplier for a smart meter. Eligibility may vary.
जितने दे अमृतसर आए हो बस इको ही रट ला रखी है कुलचा खाना है कुलचा खाना है कुलचा खाना है ते कुलचा एक्सप्रेस से जाओ ना मेरा क्यों सिर खाई जाने हो
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਕੁਲਚਾ ਐਕਸਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਤੇ ਬਣੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰੀ ਕੁਲਚੇ
curries sweet and snacks
ਤੇ ਵਨ ਸਵੰਨੀਆਂ ਡਿਸ਼ਸ ਖਾ ਕੇ ਮਾਰੋ ਝਟਕਾਰੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਰੱਖੋਗੇ ਯਾਦ ਉਂਗਲੀਆਂ ਚੜਦੇ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਰਤੀਆਂ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੀ ਆਓਗੇ ਲੰਡਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਲਚਾ ਐਕਸਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਈ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚੇਸ ਵਧੇਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਈ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ www.kulchaexpress.co.uk
outside catering available
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੈਂਡ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀ ਤੇ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ ਮੈਟਰਸ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਜਾਏ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਸੁਲਝਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ NRI ਲੀਗਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਗਲੋਬਲ ਲੀਗਲ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਫਰਮ ਜੋ ਪਿਛਲੇ 20 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ NRIs ਦੇ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਮਸਲੇ ਹੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ लैंड प्रॉपर्टी या फाइनेंस संबंधी किसी भी मसले पे फ्री कंसल्टेशन का लाभ उठाओ ऑफिसेज इन लंदन बर्मिंघम लेस्टर एंड ग्रेवसटन मीटिंग्स बुक करने लिए कॉल करो 0333 303 4499 या लॉग ऑन करो nrilegalservices.com पे
पंजाब दी महक वंडा पंजाब रेडियो
और रखदा है छाड़ छाड़ के बंदे नाल रहंदे कुड़े बात मारदे यारी दा करे पटला होण नहीं दिंदा और कर दईए पहली सदा मांज मांज के रोजाना जिंदगी च इनसेन काम बड़े जेड़ा पूरे अड़े असी फर पिछे करे नाल रखिया मैं कदे कितड़ा दा मगनी तू सपेंडे असी होणे जेड़ा साडी दरी आए लगनी तू सपेंडे असी होणे जेड़ा साडी दरी आए लगनी क्लास कदी गोरिए हत्था विच गन मुंह ते मास्क दी गोरिए हत्था विच गन मुंह ते मास्क दी गोरिए हत्था विच गन मुंह ते मास्क दी गोरिए रखिया क्लास कदी गोरिए हत्था विच गन मुंह ते मास्क दी गोरिए जेड़े अखे मास्क दी गोरिए कदे लगे कुड़ा ते लिखा पई साडे नाल करिया कदे तू सपेंडे असी होणे जेड़ी साडी दरी आए लगनी साडे नाल करिया कदे तू सपेंडे असी होणे जेड़ी साडी दरी आए लगनी ओरिजिनल बने कॉपी कैट कदे बने नहीं बने गॉड फादर या राइट कदे बने नहीं बने गॉड फादर या राइट कदे बने नहीं बने गॉड फादर या राइट कदे ओरिजिनल बने कॉपी कैट कदे बने नहीं बने गॉड फादर या राइट कदे बने नहीं गोल्ड तो महंगे सकर रैप कदे बने नहीं या कारण था बड़े अने चक चक नहीं ओके तू सपेंडे सी होणे जेड़ा साडी दरी आए लगनी
You listen to Panjab Radio on 558 AM and have Dave Massey with us, where this time we're going to talk about, do men in the 21st century just fail to understand, what the definition compromise or inequality or equality, between both measures? What are women really looking for, So what do you believe? Do you believe that women are asking too much or men are failing to understand?
I think every relationship is about compromise. And I said it earlier as well, that obviously the older you get, the more you're less willing to compromise. Relationships are about teamwork. And I think this is going back to the only example that we have when we're growing up is our parents. And they didn't have an equal relationship. The man went out to work, the mother stayed home and raised the children. They got married by 21, by 30, that was it. They were living their life, done and dusted. And so things have changed completely now. And, as I was saying, we are both equals. We're both professionals. We go out. And there needs to be that understanding. You can't expect a woman to go out and do a full day's job, come back and make the roti and the sabji and everything like that, and for the man not to help out. So, I'm a married woman. Me and my husband have been married for quite some time now, and we're in equal partnership, and that's what makes it work. So he goes to work, I go to work, I've got my own business as well. And there are some days where I just don't want to cook. And he'll take over, and that's not a weakness on his part at all. It's actually.
Or does he say every Tuesday, don't cook, and I'll just order Domino's? You buy one get one free.
No, well, those are Tuesdays are my night that he goes to play football, which is great. So then I get to make whatever I want. But no, I think I have days where I'm absolutely shattered, or if I'm running an event and the tickets are going on sale, there's no way I want to come off from that and then be cooking afterwards. So we plan it, or he can just see it that she's absolutely shattered. I'm going to make something. And that, like I said, it's no fault. He shouldn't be looked down upon or at all. And
so you're in a successful marriage. What would you say are the key ingredients to to actually have a successful marriage?
Compromise. And it's the C word that nobody likes.
What? Compromise, and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, my man.
You must give us your 5 tips. How comes you both you guys have a successful marriage?
Like I said, compromise. We communicate with each other. And again, we see each other as equal. I mean, he's career focused as well as I am, and he's supported me with this business. I mean, when I first started, and I've had it a few times when people have met me in the community, they're like, "Oh, is your husband okay with you having your own business? Doesn't he feel, do you superior? Do you not feel superior to him?" And I'm like, no. And it annoys me that people do look down that women can't have their own business, and it's just like, but how are you going to cook and clean for him? It's like I can still juggle the two. And again, it comes back to that stereotypical.
There still is that stereotypical view, isn't it? That the woman gets married, stay at home, cook and clean, and look after the kids.
And anything additional to that, you're seen as superwoman. It's like, well, how are you managing to do this? It's like, well, no, you're not. You put your priorities line, and that's it. If he had his own business, nobody would ask him if his wife was okay about it. So why is it the other way around? And it is frustrating. That stereotypical notion is still there, but we've made it work for ourselves. We, like I said, we communicate with each other, we let each other know how we're feeling, and we are a team. And he doesn't see it as that, my wife has a role and he has a role as well. So I think that's the biggest thing with compromise. We were fortunate that we did actually date when we were in our 20s, so we have grown up as a couple, and we've gone through our own challenges as well, which has made us stronger. But I think nowadays it's a case of, like I said, compromising and just making sure you're both equal.
What about the difficulty? You're like, let's say you've just finished a degree, working, nice job, and parents are kind of sort of thinking, well, the next stage is, come on, find yourself a nice girl or a nice boy to get married to. But then that conversation, that openness to have with the family, I think, actually, you know what, Mum and Dad, it's really difficult to find someone. Now, that's such a difficult conversation to have with the family, isn't it?
It is, but it is something I would definitely push for, that especially during lockdown, people have been at home with their parents. So this is the best time to have those conversations, obviously COVID has brought up what's important, the factors that are important. So whether you want a relationship, whether you want to have your family around as well, those are all, pivotal points in your life at the moment. So what I would say is that we do need to start having these conversations with our parents, because the only conversation you ever get taught is to stay on this path. So up until the age of 21, you're heavily dependent on your parents. They're supporting you. Then you have to go out into the big wide world, make a career for yourself, and you're given 2 milestones: go out, get married, and make sure that we can become grandparents. But you're not taught how to date, and sex is forbidden. So these are 2 topics that we're not taught how to do, but we just have to get on with it and do it.
And that's why Date Must is there as a business, because the parents can't really teach the young, their children once they graduate, how to date, and also, the person themselves, so some people, it's very difficult to know yourself as a human being, and sometimes it's easier to talk to Date Must, and she can help you through it, do a questionnaire and say, look, this is the type of person you're probably most likely you want to meet.
Well, I speak to a lot of people behind the scenes. I speak to both parents and singletons as well. Parents ring me with that worry that, my God, how is my son or daughter going to find somebody? And their criteria is always, we want this, we want that, we want this. And the first question I have to firstly ask them is, do you even know if your son or daughter is single and looking? Because 9 times out of 10, they don't know, because we're not having these conversations. And the parents just think, my son is locked away in his room, he's not talking to us, we don't know whether he's talking to anybody, and they don't understand the dating process. So they just think, if he doesn't come to our functions when they do happen and we don't see him talking to a girl, he's never going to meet anyone. But they don't know about, the dating platforms that are out there. They don't know whether they're coming to my events. And even with the events as well, when I hold them, people say to me, I haven't told my parents I'm here. My friends don't even know I'm here. So there's still this stigma attached to actually going out and seeking opportunities for yourself. And that's another thing I want to tell people, that there is no shame in going to an event and actually putting yourself out there.
Well, that's the thing. Now, that's why I think you've hit the nail on the head. The nail on the head is that people actually themselves, they don't know themselves what their ideal partner is. And they need help. It's like a PT. You have a PT because to get fit. Mm-hmm. You go to Date Mossy to actually find out
who you are as a person.
Who am I? What's an ideal for me? What isn't great?
Yeah.
And these activities, what a great idea. I've never heard of that before.
Thank you.
When is the next event? When is your next event?
Well, it was meant to be next week, but unfortunately with the new social distancing guidelines that have been enforced by the government, we had to cancel the event. We did try, the concept of my event is all about meeting in person. So the people that come to my event, they want to meet and they want to have that interaction. They don't want to be online. So we've done a few virtual events, obviously trying to adapt with the times and pivot the business, but it hasn't worked because it takes a lot of confidence to be online. If you're not comfortable with it, it can seem even more daunting than coming to an event. So from the business side of things, we are now trying to figure out what's our next steps. So we are waiting on the government to let us know that when it's safe to hold an event in person. But I'm hoping it's going to be soon, before Christmas at least.
What about your views on mixed marriages? I'm, I've got a young daughter, a young son, and they says, I found an ideal partner, and the mom's probably thinking, this bride's going to be, this, sari or Indian suit, whatever, but she's actually a British white girl. And they're like, what? That's completely unexpected.
So mixed marriages are on the rise, and it's, again, no fault of our own. Going back to what I was saying, because community events have decreased, there is no option to meet anyone of the same faith as you. So the only place you really are going to meet anyone is at work or in your network circle, which is not always going to be of the same faith as you. So this is where you spend the most amount of time, you interact with somebody, you're vulnerable, you're not open to, you're not going to get rejected by somebody, and that's where you're going to find someone who's compatible with you. You fall in love, you date on the secret for such a long time, and then you have that decision, do I take this further? And again, like I was saying, our generation is very different to our parents' generation. We are a stronger-minded generation, so we are going to pursue it. And we're going to take it home to our parents and say, look, Mum, Dad, I've met so-and-so, and hope that they will accept it. And I think the parents now, our generation, whilst they don't like it, because I think the worry is that all the cultural values they put into ourselves, they feel they're going to be lost if they marry out. But because we are a strong generation, the parents do accept it because they know they'd rather hold on to their son or daughter, or they're going to run off. And so I think, and 9 times out of 10, and it really hurts me to see this, that I see a couple who have been dating for so long, they've had 2 or 3 years of struggle with the parents, and then you speak to them 5 years later and they're like, everything's fine, we've got a child together now, and my parents couldn't be happier. And I just think, why did you have to go through that battle in the beginning? If you just gave your children the freedom to go out and find who they want and who they're going to be happy with.
So why do parents worry so much? Why don't they just leave them to it and have to think, let whatever they want, let them be happy? Why do parents worry?
Society pressures, that's where it comes from. My son's still single, he's this age and he's not meeting anyone. I don't know when he's going to meet. I don't know when he's going to be able to give me grandkids. And it's just basically keeping up with the Joneses, or in our cases, the Singhs, basically. It's just like, it's, what can I tell people? And unfortunately, our parents' generation are still living in that society pressure. We don't care because we've adapted. And I think that's where the crossover comes as well. So when it comes to us meeting somebody who isn't of our faith, whilst it is a bit unusual to us, we adapt to it because we've been brought up in this country. We are this generation. Our parents obviously came over from East Africa. They only knew the community independent, and obviously migrated to an area which was fully Asian. We're working in different professions as well, which are not the norm. So, if you're working in the police force, you're going to have so much diversity. You're not always going to meet an Asian policewoman or policeman. So, and I think compatibility is so much more important these days.
So what's your definition of compatibility? What would you say that, I can see that these two people are compatible?
They just complement each other. Going back to equality earlier as well, that they just we are both male and female. And even when it comes to raising children as well, it's equal. And I think during lockdown, especially, while some women have had it harder because obviously they've been juggling everything, it has opened a lot of men's eyes to see how much the woman juggles, and they're obviously taking some of the baggage with it as well now, because obviously men are working from home, so they're doing the pickups and drop-ups. They're trying to cook around the kids, trying to feed them 110 snacks as well and things like that. So I think, like I said, our generation are adapting very quickly.
So what you're saying is if you want to get married, then this is what marriage looks like. It's very much a equality.
Definitely, but also marriage is not the be all and end all these days. If you're not married, and I would say even with the age groups as well, before it used to be, oh my God, you're not married by 30. Now it's like, oh, you're not married by 40. Now you're not married by 50. The generational gaps are changing. So now people in their 50s are becoming you're not married by your 40s. So many people in their 40s getting, who have not even been in relationships before as well. So we are changing completely. And I think, like I said, I'm married, so I'm slightly biased to it, but I don't think marriage is the be all and end all. I know so many couples who are just living together and maybe engaged for a long time. If it works for them, so be it. And I think a relationship should be between two people, not the society.
It's not a marriage isn't with a community. It's with two people. Is that what you're suggesting?
Exactly.
Well, that's difficult. We've only got 30 seconds left because a lot of people say there's such family interaction, but I think you're absolutely spot on. Marriage is between two people, and I hope Date Mussy continues to find lots of love for people. How can people get in touch with you?
So my website is datemussy.com, so DATEMISI. You can follow me on Instagram at the handles of Date Mussy as well, all one word. So on Facebook and Instagram, and that's the best way to contact me and see what I'm up to.
Awesome. So Date Mussy, get in touch with her. She does not look like a Mussy, I'm telling you right now. When she turned, I was like, well, where's Date Mussy?
You can't see my bun, that's why.
All right, okay. Well, but thank you so much for coming in, and your husband as well for joining us and sharing, honest account of why is it so difficult for people in the 21st century to find the ideal partner. So thank you so much. And if you want to go to her events, please do. They'll be up soon once the lockdown is over.
Thanks very much.